Hello boys and girls, hello guitar tone lovers. My name is Kristian Kohle, and today I want to talk about impulse responses, IRs. And I actually want to create an impulse response with you, live in this video. And because there are so many boring impulses out there, I thought let's find some rather exotic speakers and make some kind of exotic combination. Maybe not the greatest sound in the world, but something interesting, right? We will create that impulse now, and later in this video you will be able to get that impulse. Don't worry, you don't have to win it. Everybody will get it. As long as you sell your soul to the devil and join my email list. Many of you have already done that. So let's have some fun and create an impulse response. And I've just released my first impulse response pack together with Eminence Digital, and it sounds nothing but amazing. I might be a little biased, but I believe it's one of the most mix-ready IR packs on the market right now. So you should better get it. The first link down there. And even if my pack only consists of 18 IRs, first of all, they all sound great. Secondly, they're all in phase, so they can be combined, which is a huge bonus. And we have 3 speakers, 2 modern sounding, 1 old school sounding. We have additional low-end impulses that can be blended for more balls. A lot of tonal options. If you don't want to go through endless lists and if you're looking for something else than a V30, check out my pack. Alright, but let's create an impulse ourselves. Here we go. Let me show you what I'm playing. Once again, I'm playing the Omega plugin from Neural DSP, which is a great sounding amp sim. This time I'm using the other voicing, this one here, which sounds a little more mid-forward. The other one is more rectifierish. Both very useful. But I've turned off all the cabinets in the plugin, as you can see, and I'm playing one of my IRs. Here I'm playing an IR called Perfect Blend, and this is the DV77 speaker and the CV75. No processing at all, so this is one of the IRs from my Eminence pack. Okay, but let's turn this off and let's go to another track. Again with the Omega plugin, but this time we're going from the Omega plugin into this Seymour Duncan amplifier. This little solid state amplifier that I use a lot for creating impulses because first of all, it sounds quite neutral. Secondly, you have that 4-band EQ, so you can furthermore tweak your sound. So we go into that amp and then into, a Marshall cab today. A 1960A Marshall cab. But I removed those terrible sounding speakers and I replaced them with 8 ohm speakers. And let me show you. Alright, so welcome to my chaos room. You see we have a lot of speakers here. Century Vintage, Vintage 30, a warehouse. A lot of speakers. This here is my experimental cab. So this is a Marshall cab. And right now we got a Fane F70, a Vintage 30, a JENSEN Tornado, and a K100 in a Marshall cab. That's a real experiment. Let's see what happens. So I've mic'd 3 speakers now. I've mic'd the K100, the Fane, and the JENSEN. Like 3 rather exotic speakers. The K100, not that exotic, but the other 2, definitely. So let's see what we can use. And I don't want to use 57s to make it even more interesting, okay? Let's have a listen to those speakers. By the way, all are in 8 ohm. We start with a Fane speaker. Pretty balanced, right? Definitely on the cold and slightly hollow side. Yeah, it's cold. That kind of tone. But overall pretty balanced, slightly boxy sounding. That might be the Marshall cab. At least compared to my impulses that we heard before. But a nice sound if you're looking for something like fast, cold, not too many lower mids, so... Kind of nice, kind of nice. I have to remember that one. Let's check out the next speaker. Let's have a listen to the Jensen. And that speaker has just very, very special mids. It immediately makes me play stoner riffs. Thinner sounding than the Fane, but a lot more mid forward, more complex in the mids. A little indirect sounding. Just sounds like the speaker is further away from the microphone. But a lovely, nice vocal mid-range. Slightly honky, maybe. You remember I talked about that speaker, the Jensen Tornado Stealth, in my first speaker video on the URM Academy channel a year ago or something. Very different than the Fane. Let's check out the K100. Not good. Not sounding good. Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't make it work today. It sounds boxy, hollow, tiny, small. Oh, this speaker has some rather hard sounding quack quack mid and nothing else right now in the Marshall cab. So I'm not gonna use that one alone. Maybe blended if we need some honky mids. Yeah, let's try to combine it with the Fane. So that's the Fane. Let's add the K100. So that sounds very phasey. So now I want to delay one of the speakers so they are more in phase. Flip the phase. Oh, that's a good setting. Here we go. Both together, Fane and K100. That makes the Fane sound fuller in a way, but also harder. Now it sounds more like a good sounding K100. I'm not sure if I like it because it has that certain hardness in the mids. Let's go back to the Fane alone. Yeah, a little hollow, but more controlled and softer in a good way. Let's add the K100. It sounds more compact with those speakers combined. Could be an interesting IR. Could be, so let's remember that. But it sounds very guang, 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 guang. Maybe reduce the mids a little bit. A little industrial sounding. And the K100 makes everything 90s, or yeah, sounding. Let's move on. Let's combine the Fane with the Jensen. Phasey again, let me check the phase. Here we go, Fane and Jensen. That is interesting. It has that savage, raw feel. Complex, raw-sounding mids. Not as sophisticated as the IRs in the Eminence pack, not as, you know, nice and good and balanced sounding, but interesting and raw. Let's go back to my IR pack. And back to our speakers. What if I add some bass? Slightly reduce the highs. But if you're looking for something raw and wild, should have tuned my guitar. I think we found something nice. Let me just go back to our options. So this is the Fane and the Jensen together. And now the Fane and the K100. So that is too thin sounding. But Jensen, Fane, kind of raw, woody, and real sounding. With real, I mean it sounds a little more like a cabinet in the room. Let's make an impulse. Let's make an impulse. This one is interesting. So what I do is, have a look. I will play a sine wave sweep, this one here, which is, I don't know, a few seconds long, through those speakers. And I will record whatever comes back. In this case, 2 microphones. Here. So let's record on the Boxy Savage track. And I'm gonna solo this one and solo the sweep. Let's record it. Nice. So this is our sweep. This is what it looks like. And now I will bounce that file in a way that it starts just a little tiny bit before the actual sweep. And I give it some headroom so it can ring out, so to say. Let's bounce that file. Boom. And what I'm using to create the actual IR is actually a freeware software from Voxengo called Deconvolver. And what you do is, up here you see, you need to load the sine sweep you have used, or whatever file you use to create the sweep, and then you will load the file you've just bounced. You can have a look at the settings here. You just hit process and it will create an IR. All right, let's go back to our other track where we play the Omega into the IR player here. By the way, this is from STL Tones and Ignite Amps, the Nade IR, I don't know. I like this IR player for several reasons. Let me just show you with my Perfect Blend IR. I really like the filters here. So if you want to get rid of some low end and some high end, that's super useful. The filters sound really smooth. I also like that resonance knob here. It's adding highs, but it's also, I don't know, by adding highs, it sounds like the low end is getting tighter. So if you want to make an impulse sound brighter, this just works. Then you have a delay setting in case you want to combine or blend two IRs that are not in phase. We don't need it here because my IRs are always in phase. Anyway, so wait a minute. This is our perfect blend IR from Eminence. Now let's switch to the IR we just created. Sounds pretty good actually. Just like a raw version. Oh, I like it. And remember, 0 processing. Oh, this will be great for anything old school, death metal, that 1K grind. Back to the perfect blend. I mean, that has more low end, is more balanced, is of course nicer sounding, but so this IR kind of sounds underground without sounding bad or shitty. That's not what I'm talking about. It just has a certain ugliness that you don't get from vintage 30s. Yeah, it is a little honky, it is a little boxy, I know. But who has ever done an IR combining a Fane speaker and a Jensen speaker inside of a Marshall cab with two microphones that are not 57s? Like I told you, if you want this IR, all you have to do is to subscribe to my email list. You'll find a link below. It's pretty idiot-proof. That's all you have to do. And I will be waiting for, I don't know, 1 or 2 weeks, because otherwise I have to send it 5 times, okay? So maybe in 2 weeks you will get a nice newsletter from me with a link where you can download that raw and dirty sounding IR. Cool. Okay, let me walk you through the other IRs of my Eminence pack. This was the perfect blend, which is just a beautiful middle of the road, kind of slightly warm sounding heavy metal impulse. Again, if you can make a good metal tone with this one, check your signal path. As you can see, there are several folders here. Let's go back. So we have the 3 main speakers. The first one is a DV77. Let's start with that one. And this one is the linear IR. This is where you should start. Now, we have several versions of this one. So, for example, we have an angry version. So I have the microphone a little more in the middle. As expected, just a little more aggressive. The presence boost goes into the same direction, but this time the mic is the same and I was just boosting the presence on the amp. So if you like the linear IR and just need a little more presence and high-end grind, choose that one. Then there's also a fat version, but that is a lot fatter and darker. Not for this amp. But the intention is, if you have a rather thin sounding setup, try this one. Let's move on to the next speaker, and that is an old school sounding speaker. I really like that one, especially for old school tones, but also for blending it with other modern sounding speakers. And that is the Swamp Thing. Let's see. Again, like old school feel, 90s feel, swampy. Just a very, very special mid-range once again. I call that speaker the better K100. This is the grindy version, so this is actually quite modern sounding. And then I have a more traditional IR. With more low end. And it sounds a little more distant. More like a Swamp Thang sounds in the room. And the third speaker is a CV75, which has more high-end bite and less mids than the 77. Just have a listen. Three versions this time: linear, dark, and bite. Now, again, you can combine those IRs and find your own combinations, but if you're too lazy to do that, there's another folder called Speakers Blended, where I found like my favorite combinations. I have already shown you the perfect blend. Then we have all the three speakers together, which sounds a little more mid-forward and honky. No. Different Swamp Thang combinations. So if you want a touch of old school, but not too much. And finally an IR called Rattlesnake Kiss, which is the brightest of them all. Finally, there's another folder, and that one is special. That one is really special. So let's go back to the DV77, the linear version, the one I started with. If you need more low end, if you need more balls, there's another folder called To Be Blended with two IRs called Balls and Super Balls. Let's go for Super Balls. Have a look here. You can blend any of my IRs with this one if you need more balls. Let's do that. Nice. So you see, it gets a little darker and you get a lot more bass. And you can just blend it the way you need it. Just touch more balls, whatever. All right, now you understand why this pack is so flexible, right? 18 IRs, and I bet you will use this one a lot more than any of the other packs you have bought so far, but I might be wrong. Let me know. Okay, let's have a final listen to our, what did I call it? Boxy Savage, the one we created today. Those mids almost have some kind of chainsaw HM2-ish feel. Yeah, if you're looking for something nasty, savage, this is for you. Let me just add a little more gain. You will have fun with this. I'm sure you will have fun with this. So that's all for today. Thanks for watching. I want you to subscribe to this channel. Ring the bell, ding dong. Here are my socials in case you want to know what I'm doing like every day, the bands I'm producing, all the other stuff. If you like the IRs, you can get them right below. First link. Forget what that's all right. Have a satanic Christmas. See you in hell, motherfuckers. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.